Hello and welcome to Dice and Demons. I'm Emma, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at some new models, both a couple of models for Necromunda and a new one for Age of Sigmar. So we are going to be starting with the one for Necromunda, and the headline here says 2 new dramatis personae arrive on Necromunda armed to the max with bombs and blades. So that sounds nice. I mean, bombs and blades, what's not to like, right? The Underhive is crawling with so many bounty hunters, outlaws and hired guns, it's a wonder there's room left for innocent civilians at this point. This dubious cast of rumcoves ply their deadly trade among the gangs of Necromunda, offering their unique take on the oldest job in the world, making people dead. Today, 2 ne'er-do-wells have sauntered into sight. First up, smelling faintly of singe hair and promethium. It sounds like he needs a bath. It's the bombastic Rex Spires. So here we can see the model. And yeah, I mean, he does look like he smells a little bit, doesn't he? Yeah, I quite like the augmentation here, or I don't know, is it augmentation or has he just, lost an eye and then someone gave him something to, slightly make up for it? He looks like he's about half man, half machine. Look also at his boot leg here. I really like this gigantic boot he's got. It looks so heavy, but also it looks like it's machinery doing the lifting here, so perhaps not too bad. And both his arms looks like they are artificial as well. Yeah, cool. he looks like he has perhaps he's seen better days, but then on the other hand he's from Necromunda, so who hasn't, right? Rex's high-octane career started in the scrap heaps, a light-fingered lout who would steal anything to escape his indentured servitude, until, boom, he had an epiphany. I'm not sure, I mean, if it starts with a boom, what kind of epiphany would that be? As a nearby manufactorium exploded and collapsed part of the dome he called home, he was freed. So now Rex Spires is all about spreading the good word of his Lord and Savior, a really big bang. Well, I mean, that's definitely a religion I can get behind, particularly in the world of Warhammer, right? His sermons are booby traps, and his message is high explosive death. He has access to frag traps, melter traps, blasting charges, demo charges, and his demolitions rule lets him set up 3 booby traps during the pre-battle sequence. All for this hard-learned knowledge, however, cost him an arm, well, both of them actually, and a leg. Oh well, I mean, if it's sort of his religion, you sometimes have to give up a little bit, Cool. And Rex is joined by Estus Jet, a mysterious orphan named for the letters still legible on the collar she was wearing when Esmeralda, Hold Mother of the Dustfall's Deep Nine Orphanarium, discovered her. Those letters, EST, SU, JET. So perhaps some, I don't know, test subject or something. I mean, wouldn't that be... I don't know that much about Necromunda lore, but I would suspect that children could definitely just be considered test subjects. She looks really cool. I actually quite like the way her pose. It looks really dynamic. I like that, and she's got some really cool boots, even though they do look impractical. And then I don't know. I don't understand. Why would you not have anything covering your stomach if you're going into battle? It's such a vulnerable big part of your body that you're just exposing. But yeah. This is just a cloth version of the boob armor, isn't it? Anyway, she looks cool though. Esmeralda taught this go-getter everything she needed to know, including how to kill with an assortment of martial skills and weapons. She now works as a gunrunner for Gideon Score, with ample time to practice her favorite pastime, using her toxin-laced blades to take down idiots who try to rip her off. These cats are cast in resin. Yeah, well, I would prefer they were plastic, of course, and will both be available from Forge World in the not-too-distant future. In the meantime, sign up, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Yeah, I think she looks really cool. And an augmented eye as well, or an artificial eye, whatever you want to call it. I mean, she definitely looks lethal. I just, I don't really get the whole not wearing clothes when you're going into battle. Yeah. It just, I don't know, perhaps it's just me, it breaks a little, I don't know, the immersion tiny bit, just because I think it's so silly. I mean, who wouldn't want to keep some part, some sort of cloth or leather or armor or anything between yourself and the enemy's weapons if you can help it. Also, she's fighting with toxin-laced, blades. If she just sort of slightly slips or trips or anything, she's going to just poison herself. Dead. Yeah, well, but the model looks cool anyway. And I want her boots. They look really awesome. I want boots like that. I wouldn't look quite as fancy wearing them though, but I like the boots. Okay, so we will also be taking a look at the, where was that? The one for Age of Sigmar, and the headline here says, this year's Boxing Day miniature has a next level party hat. That's nice. Party hats, I'm all for it. Ah, Christmas. It's a time of celebration and excess. As the nightly snow descends and the wind howls outside, we like to settle in for a big feast, a proper all-you-can-eat style affair surrounded by our nearest and dearest. Agony only sets in once dessert is served and the arguments start. You know how it is. There's the usual bickering about which Mortark is best, and then Uncle Fangheart begins screeching in an inhuman tongue, his breath reeking with foetid corpse meat. The Christmas songs record scratch, the walls fall away, and oh god. Yeah, well. The first part sounded a little bit like Christmas, and then it got not the way we celebrate Christmas at home, anyway, luckily. Yeah, so this is, of course, for not the Gloomspite Kids, what are they called? The Flesh Eater Courts, of course. I really like this miniature. This looks really, really cool. It looks really cool. I like his big sword, and I just like the pose because I'm not that much into the lore of 40k or of Age of Sigmar. I don't read any of the Black Library books or anything. It's probably really cool. It's just not really for me. So, but anyway, I really like the lore of the Flesh Eater Courts. The whole thing about them being, zombies, sort of ghouls, who believe themselves to be these mighty knights on a noble crusade, on a noble quest and stuff. And I just think they could do so much more with that, because if you just look at the models as they are, you don't, at least to my eyes, you don't really see the whole delusion going on. You only know it if you have read the lore, and I would like to see that reflected more in their models. And I actually think this model does that really well. He is sitting on a throne, so you can see the whole delusion about he's a king, he's at least some sort of lord or duke or whatever, and he's wearing a crown, like he's actually he has put his party hat on. And he has a whole big sword, and that could be from some sort of legendary sword from a hero like the Legends of Arthur or whatever. But then everything else is just totally wrong, and the sword itself is corroded and filled with rust and holes, and instead of a nice kingly cape with ermine, he's got some sort of rotted, piece of cloth that is actually inserted into his flesh with a piece of bone, and just looked awful. And you can see it looks inflamed, even though he's a ghoul of some sort. And you might think, can it get any worse? Well, it can. You can be a ghoul with an infection, apparently. So it just looks really painful and awful, and he just I really think this sells the whole idea behind the faction really, really well. It's a cool model, and I actually think it looks quite dynamic, even though he's sitting down. He looks like he's about to. He'll get up at any moment and swing that big hefty sword of his if he thinks it's necessary. Okay, so it goes on to say, the illusion is shattered. That's not your favorite uncle in his favorite chair. That's the Abhorrant Ghoul King with Crown of Delusion, this year's Boxing Day miniature. Instead of a cozy Christmas scene, our reverie was in fact a heinous feast of raw flesh, and we're actually all horrible ghouls deluded into a parody of familial festivities. Oh well, yeah, that sort of thing happens, Every family's got their little secrets, don't they? Oh well, anyone up for party games? Well, if I can play games with this model, yeah, Oh, I also like the back of the throne with the big skulls here, and they look really nicely painted. They sort of actually look like they were like computer drawn or anything, but if they're painted by hand, that's really well done. Definitely. This crowned cannibal will make a perfect painting project for those who want to push themselves with a special one-off miniature, or perhaps he'll become the center of a Flesh Eater Court's diorama, maybe even a gory feast full of foul crypt ghouls and crypt horrors. And so it will be available at Warhammer stores from Boxing Day, which is the 26th of September. I think Boxing Day is like a UK holiday or something. It's not something we have here in Denmark, at least. Yeah. So in a couple of weeks you can buy this, and I mean I liked the two Necromunda models. They look quite cool. This one is definitely the star of the show for me. I think this is really brilliant. I don't know. I really like the whole idea with the Flesh Eater Courts. It's just yeah, as I said, I don't always think the model range really reflects the lore, and I would like to see that more, because I actually think it's a really cool background, and this is awesome. I might actually consider getting this just to paint it, really. It looks really cool. I'd be interested in seeing how big it is. I mean, since he is sitting on a throne and everything, the ghouls they're not that big, but perhaps, I don't know. I'd be interested to see. I don't think it says here how big it is, no. But it looks really cool. I really like it. Yeah. So what do you think? What do you think of the two Necromunda models, and what do you think of this one? And what do you think of the idea of your nice holiday feast turning into a cannibalistic horror show? I actually think they do some really nice writing here on the Warhammer community page. It's usually pretty funny. So this was what we're going to be taking a look at today. So let me know in the comments what you think, if you are considering buying any of these, and also if you have any cool ideas for a Flesh Eater Court's army, what kind of models you would like to see, and how you would like to see the lore reflected in the model line. I would be really interested to hear from you as well. So yeah, let me know in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.